Imagine this, Christmas Eve. Snow coming down like crazy. I'm standing on my mom's porch, freezing, holding a pie I baked from scratch and a bunch of wrapped up gifts. I just drove 12 hours straight through a snowstorm to surprise her. My heart? Beating fast. I missed my family like hell. I knock on the door, expecting hugs and happy tears. Instead, the door opens and she just stares at me like I'm some random stranger. Then she says, dead serious, "Sorry, I think you've got the wrong house," and slams the door. My mom, my actual mom, like I didn't exist. That was the moment everything changed. And yet this story? It's messy, it's painful, and honestly, it's probably gonna hit you harder than you expect, so keep watching. Hey, I'm Emily Carter. I'm 32 now, living in Chicago and working in marketing, but I grew up in a tiny town in Ohio where family meant everything. Or at least, that's what I thought. It was just the three of us, me, my mom Susan, and my younger brother Ethan. My dad dipped out when I was 15, just packed up, moved to Florida with some woman he barely knew, and never looked back, unless you count the occasional $20 bill stuffed into a birthday card. So Mom stepped up. She worked crazy hours as a nurse admin, always tired, always in scrubs, but she did what she could. And me? I kinda became the second adult in the house. I made dinner, helped Ethan with homework, picked up shifts after school. I did it all, 'cause that's just what you do for family, right? Ethan was the golden boy. Funny, sweet, everybody loved him. He was the kind of kid who could get away with anything just by smiling. I was the quiet one, the planner, the responsible one. But we were close. Mom, Ethan, and me. We had this thing, Sunday dinners. I'd cook, and we'd all chill on the couch with old movies and dumb jokes. It felt like home. Then 5 years ago I got this amazing job offer in Chicago. A real shot at building something for myself. It was hard leaving, but Mom said she was proud, even though her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Ethan told me to go crush it, said, "You've got this, sis." I thought we'd stay tight, but I was so wrong. And honestly, I didn't see it coming. It didn't fall apart all at once. That's the thing about family, it cracks in small places long before it shatters. About 3 months after I moved to Chicago, I got a call from Mom. She sounded stressed, on the edge. The furnace broke, she said. Winter was coming and they had no heat. They needed $4,000, 0 cents to fix it. I didn't even hesitate. I wired her the money that same night. No questions, no judgment. I mean, she was my mom. A few weeks later, Ethan called. He'd landed a job delivering for some local courier service, but he needed a car to get started. He asked for help, just until his first few paychecks rolled in. That was another $5,000, 0 cents gone from my savings. But again, I didn't mind. I thought, this is what big sisters do, right? You support your people. I told myself I was just lucky to be in a place where I could give. But then it became a pattern. Every month, Mom started needing a little extra for the mortgage. Ethan needed help with rent, gas, food, whatever. I ended up sending them $800, 0 cents a month for the house, and another $500, 0 cents to Ethan, so he could get on his feet. That's $1,300, 0 cents every single month like clockwork. And you know what? At first it felt good. I thought I was helping hold my family together. But slowly, things started to feel weird. When I visited, I noticed stuff. New things. Like their couch had been replaced. Huge, plush, leather. They had this fancy espresso machine in the kitchen that cost more than my monthly groceries. Ethan was stacking gaming consoles, controllers, and gear like it was Christmas every weekend. When I asked about it, they'd brush it off. "Oh, bargain find, it was a gift, we really needed it." Meanwhile, I was living in a tiny one-bedroom in Chicago, cutting coupons and skipping nights out just to keep supporting them. And even then, it wasn't the money that hurt most. It was the way they stopped listening. Our phone calls got shorter. Sometimes I'd call and get sent straight to voicemail. I left messages, no one called back. When we did talk, the conversation was all about them. Mom's work stress, Ethan's latest dating drama, the neighbor's noisy dog. No one asked how I was doing, how my job was going, or if I was okay adjusting to a new city all alone. I kept waiting for someone to notice I was hurting too, but they never did. Then the holidays came. That's when everything started to sting more. 2 Thanksgivings ago, I drove home with this whole Pinterest perfect meal plan. I cooked for 8 hours straight: turkey, stuffing, 3 pies, the whole deal. While I sweated in the kitchen, they were in the living room watching football and yelling at the screen. No one offered to help, not even to set the table. When we finally sat down, they took one bite and Mom said the turkey was too dry. Ethan didn't even touch the green beans. I held back tears that entire night. I remember thinking, why am I doing all this? But I smiled through it, cleaned up the dishes, and went back to Chicago like nothing happened. Last Christmas, I got the flu. I was so sick I couldn't get out of bed. I texted Mom, told her I couldn't make it, but that I'd send gifts and money to cover what I normally bring. She didn't say, "Feel better." She didn't ask if I was okay. She just replied, "So, you're not coming?" The next day, Ethan texted me that they were disappointed, and it felt like I'd ruined the vibe. I still mailed the gift, still wired the money, still hoped maybe that would remind them I cared. But something had shifted, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was slowly being pushed out of my own family. Every gift, every transfer, every holiday, I thought it was bringing us closer, but now it felt like it was just making the distance bigger. I felt like I was being used, but I couldn't bring myself to say it out loud, because who wants to admit that their own family might only love them when there's money involved? And still, I told myself it was just a rough patch, that maybe they were just busy or stressed or not realizing how they made me feel. I clung to that hope like a lifeline. I kept being the good daughter, the good sister, sending gifts, calling first, swallowing hurt feelings, hoping something would change. But the truth is, the more I gave, the more invisible I became. And I didn't want to believe that. Yet, not until Christmas Eve, when everything finally broke. This Christmas, I decided I was done with the space between us. I was tired of being the one holding everything together from miles away, tired of feeling like a bank instead of a daughter, tired of wondering if my family even missed me. So, I made a choice. I wasn't just going to send gifts this year, I was going to show up. I canceled a work trip to Jamaica that I'd been looking forward to for months. Beaches? Sun? Rest? Nope, I gave all that up because I wanted to be with my family, in our house, eating our food, laughing, the way we used to before everything got weird. I spent weeks picking out the perfect presents. For Mom, I got a soft cashmere sweater in her favorite forest green color and a full spa gift package, because she always said she never got time to relax. For Ethan, I somehow tracked down a limited edition gaming console he'd been obsessing over and scored 2 tickets to his favorite band's concert in February. I even went all in on the apple pie. I dug out Grandma Carter's old recipe, her real one, not the shortcut version, and practiced over and over until the crust was buttery, the apples cooked just right, and the filling didn't spill over. I bought new pie tins, cute wrapping paper, and ribbon. It was gonna be perfect. A few days before I left, I texted Ethan just a casual, "Hey, you guys need anything for Christmas?" He replied asking for an extra $1,000, 0 cents for decorations, food, and extras. I didn't even blink. I sent it within the hour. It felt like an investment in a better relationship. Mom mentioned they might be having a small gathering, but she was super vague about the details. I figured maybe a couple of neighbors or co-workers were coming. No big deal. The drive from Chicago to Ohio was brutal. 12 hours in a snowstorm. I left before sunrise, and the roads were so icy I had to go 30 miles an hour half the time. At one point I slid across a highway lane and had to pull over just to calm my nerves, but I kept going. I called Mom somewhere around hour 8 just to say I might be late. She said, "We're eating at 6, don't rush. We'll save you a plate." Her tone? Flat. "No. Drive safe, no. Can't wait to see you. Just a quick hang-up." I pushed the weird feeling down. Then I called Ethan. He answered but sounded distracted, like he was playing a game or in the middle of something. He mumbled, "I'll call you back," and hung up before I could even say I love you. He never called back. By the time I crossed into Ohio, my stomach was buzzing with nerves. I kept telling myself I was overthinking it, that everything was fine. I stopped at this little market in town to grab fresh pie ingredients and ended up spending way too much on this really fancy ceramic pie dish I thought Mom would love. As I stood in line, this sweet older woman behind me commented on all the apples and cinnamon I was buying. "Someone's getting a special treat," she said with a warm smile. I couldn't help it. I got choked up and told her, "I haven't been home for Christmas in years." She patted my shoulder and said, "Nothing beats family." I smiled and nodded, but inside, something felt off. Like I was walking into something I didn't fully understand yet. Driving through my hometown felt like rewinding a movie. Everything looked the same. The old theater with its crooked sign, the tiny ice cream shop where Ethan and I used to sneak off during summer, the park where we built snowmen and raced our sleds down the hill. Main Street was lit up with white and gold Christmas lights, and it felt like the town hadn't aged a day. When I turned onto our block, I saw the house. Our house. That old colonial with the navy shutters and big porch. But now, it looked like something out of a holiday magazine. The whole place glowed with expensive-looking white lights, the kind you see in ads for luxury home decor. Garland wrapped around the pillars, and there was this big LED reindeer on the lawn. None of that was there when I was a kid. It felt like I was pulling up to someone else's house. The driveway was full. I counted at least 6 cars. None of them looked familiar. There was a bright red SUV, a sleek black sedan, and even a low flashy sports car parked right next to Mom's old Honda. I had to park down the street because there was no space left. I sat in the car for a minute, checking my reflection, fixing my hair, touching up my lipstick. My heart was pounding. I grabbed the pie and the neatly wrapped presents and started walking up the snowy path. From the porch, I could hear Christmas music and laughter echoing through the front windows. It sounded warm, full, like people were having a really good time. Through the big bay window, I saw a massive Christmas tree decorated with gold and silver ornaments and twinkling lights. The dining room was set with fancy china and cloth napkins. Everything was perfect, picture perfect. And it hit me. This wasn't some small get-together. This was a full-on Christmas party, a big one, with guests, food, decorations, and no one had told me. My grip on the pie dish tightened. I took a deep breath and rang the doorbell, still smiling, trying to believe this would all make sense in a second, that they'd scream in surprise, hug me, pull me inside and tell me how happy they were to see me, that this would be the moment everything turned around. Instead, the door opened, and it all went to hell. When Mom opened the door, it was like seeing a stranger. She stood there, wine glass in hand, looking like she'd just walked off a magazine cover. Her hair done up perfectly, makeup flawless, wearing a black cocktail dress I'd never seen before. For half a second she smiled, and my heart jumped, until her eyes widened, and that smile died. She looked behind her, then back at me like she was caught doing something wrong, and before I could even say a word, she said it loud enough for everyone inside to hear, "Sorry, I think you have the wrong house." At first I thought she was joking. My face must have crumpled because I just stood there stunned. "Mom, it's me, it's Emily," I said, hoping she'd laugh, open the door wider, maybe pull me into a hug and say it was a prank, but she didn't. She leaned in slightly and whispered, "This isn't a good time, Emily. You should have called." "I did call," I said, my voice rising, trying to hold back the tears already stinging my eyes. "We talked earlier, you told me dinner was at 6. She just looked behind her again and said, cold and flat, "There's no Emma here." I could barely hold the pie anymore. My hands were shaking through my gloves, the heat from the dish now unbearable. Then a man's voice called from inside the house, "Susan, who's at the door? We're ready for the toast?" Mom's eyes darted toward him, and then she hissed at me, "You have the wrong house." "Merry Christmas," and began to shut the door, but I stuck my boot in the doorway, desperation kicking in. "At least take the gifts. I drove across 3 states to be here." She stared at me like I was an inconvenience, not her daughter. "Not now, Emily. Just go." Then Ethan showed up, standing behind her in some sleek suit I didn't recognize. He looked so different, polished, clean-shaven, like he belonged to this new life. His eyes met mine, but instead of the brother I grew up with, all I saw was fear and discomfort. Mom turned to him and said, "It's nothing." Wrong address. I waited, begged for him to say something, to defend me, to call me his sister, but he just glanced at her and asked, "Everything okay?" Like I was some Amazon delivery gone wrong. Someone from inside shouted, "Ethan, your girlfriend's telling that Aspen story," and he called back, "Be right there." Then he looked at Mom and said, "We should get back to our guests." Guests, not family, not me. That's when Mom dropped the act. "You need to leave, Emily. This is embarrassing." "Embarrassing?" I croaked, barely able to get the word out. "I'm your daughter. We have important people here," she said, her voice sharp now. "Ethan's girlfriend's parents, my country club friends. We'll talk tomorrow. Go." My arms trembled so badly I thought I'd drop everything right there. From inside the house I heard a countdown starting. 10, 9, 8. I tried one last time. "Please, Mom. 7, 6, 5. Ethan finally looked me in the eye and said, "You should have called, sis." 4, 3. She pushed my boot out of the doorway and slammed the door, just as the room inside shouted, 2, 1. and cheered as if nothing had happened. I stood frozen, snowflakes settling on my coat and hair, the night so quiet except for the muffled music and laughter echoing behind the door that had just closed on me. My fingers let go of the pie dish, and it fell to the ground, shattering in the snow. The gifts dropped next, one of them ripping open to reveal the sweater I'd picked out for Mom, the one she'd never even see. I stood there, breathing hard, tears running hot down my face, and walked slowly back to my car, feeling like every step got heavier. When I climbed in and shut the door, the silence hit me harder than anything. The car was freezing, but I didn't even feel it. I just sat there and cried so hard I couldn't breathe. My body shook, my chest ached, and some stupid Christmas song was playing on the radio like a cruel joke. My own family, my mother, my brother, had just treated me like a stranger. Worse than that, like trash. Then my phone lit up. It was Ethan. I didn't want to answer, but I did. "Em, you still outside?" he whispered. "I'm in my car, I'm sorry, okay? I didn't know you were coming. Mom told me you canceled." I told her I was on my way. She knew I was coming. I called her. He went quiet for a second, then said, "She's been planning this thing for weeks. It's a big dinner for her new spa business. Richard's here. He's helping her get investors. Don't be mad. You know how Mom is about her image." "Spa business?" I asked, my voice cold. "What about the mortgage? The hospital? I've been sending thousands." Silence again. Then he admitted it. "She quit the hospital last year. That's when something broke in me. Let's meet for coffee tomorrow," he offered. "Just us." His voice was all fake charm, like this was some misunderstanding, like he could smooth it over with a latte. "Fine," I whispered, numb. "Love you, sis." "Merry Christmas," he said. I whispered it back, even though it hurt. But he didn't hang up. Instead, I heard a rustling sound. His hand must have brushed the mic, and then his voice, clearer now, not meant for me. "Crisis averted," he laughed. "So she's at a hotel, bought the coffee thing," a woman giggled. "She thinks sending rent means she's invited to everything," Ethan added. "Like we owe her 'cause she sends cash." My stomach dropped. Then Mom's voice came through. "She's loaded. Look at her place, her job, she's fine." Ethan laughed again. "We use her money for what matters. She's so desperate to be needed she never asks questions." More laughter. Then Mom added, "Remember last Christmas, when she had the flu and still overnighted gifts? Like that makes up for not showing up." "And today," Ethan said, "she rolls up with a frickin' pie like she's in some Hallmark movie." Pathetic. They kept going, laughing about how I was clingy, needy, like all I was good for was wiring money and playing the role of the forgotten sister from a distance. I sat there, phone still to my ear, heart shattering in slow motion. They lied about everything, the bills, the car, the job, and the whole time they were mocking me behind my back. Using me, I ended the call without saying a word, and that was the moment I knew I was done. That night, sitting in my car, tears dried on my cheeks and the cold settling into my bones, I made a decision. No more pretending, no more giving until I bled. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and started scrolling through 5 years' worth of transfers, page after page of numbers I barely remembered sending. $83,459.00. That's how much I had handed over without hesitation. That could have been a house, a new car, a year off to travel. But instead, it funded Ethan's flashy life and Mom's spa fantasy. It bought new cars, new clothes, vacations I was never invited on, and a lifestyle I was told was built on struggle. I checked into a small, run-down motel called the Riverside Inn and couldn't sleep. I sat up all night digging through old emails and receipts. Ethan's car trouble was actually a down payment on a boat. Mom's mortgage emergency paid for a retreat in Sedona. My emergency credit cards? Maxed out on spa equipment, designer handbags, and tech. By 3 a.m., I had a whole document of proof. Dates, amounts, lies. I didn't cry again. I didn't shake. I just canceled everything. The monthly $800 0 cents to Mom? Gone. The $500 0 cents to Ethan? Canceled. I called my bank, reported both cards compromised, and requested new ones. Then I sat there and wrote the email I should have sent years ago. No more money, ever. I've saved, proof, of $83,459 0 cents in support. Don't contact me about cash again. Emily. I hit send, packed my bag, and started the drive back to Chicago, snow still falling behind me like the final curtain on a bad play. On Christmas morning, I made more calls. I flagged the mortgage transfers as fraud. I shut down every financial tie, even called my landlord and ended Ethan's sublease. I didn't care where he went. The response came fast, text after text, voicemail after voicemail. First it was confusion, then anger, then desperation. Ethan said his landlord was evicting him. Mom said I'd ruined her life, that the spa was about to take off. Then came the guilt trips. "This is financial abuse," she wrote. "We're family." Then the final phase, bargaining. "Can we talk? Let's make a new plan." But there was no plan anymore. They'd already made theirs. I was just the bank they thought would never close. January was hard. Some days I felt hollow, like my heart had been scooped out. I went to therapy. My therapist, Dr. Ellis, was the one who helped me say the thing out loud. They never saw me as family, just as a paycheck. That truth hit harder than the door ever did. But it also freed me. By February, I was saving money for me, for the first time in forever. I booked a solo trip to a lakeside cabin in Michigan and watched the snow fall in silence, with nobody yelling, nobody needing anything from me. In spring, I met Margaret, my neighbor, a sharp-tongued widow who'd seen her share of family drama. She and her card group kind of adopted me. They taught me how to play canasta, invited me to wine nights, and made me laugh again. My boss, Lisa, noticed the change and offered me a promotion. I started taking weekend photography trips, found new joy in work, and actually looked forward to Mondays. By summer, I hosted my own Sunday dinners, not for family, but for friends, neighbors, people who showed up because they wanted to, not because I paid their bills. Thanksgiving was quiet, just me, Margaret, and a few of her friends. No drama, just gratitude. But Christmas, that was the test. Dr. Ellis asked me, "What does healing look like this Christmas?" I didn't want to fake a perfect holiday. I wanted something real. So I volunteered at a local community center, serving dinner to seniors and families who didn't have anyone. I bought little gifts: a jazz record for a retired music teacher, a scarf for a woman who reminded me of my grandma. I decorated the center with paper chains the kids made, taped up snowflakes on the windows, and it felt more real than anything my childhood home ever did. On Christmas morning, I made a donation, the exact amount I used to send my mom and Ethan, a nonprofit that supports people escaping toxic families. I sat with a 92-year-old woman named Mrs. Lee who told me stories of her own betrayal, her own healing. "You'll like who you become after this," she said, and for the first time I believed it. A few months later, I ran into Ethan downtown. He looked tired, thinner. The charm was gone. He tried to hug me, said the spa failed, Mom sold the house. I just said, "I'm good. No grudges, just boundaries." He called after me, "Family's forever." I turned and said, "Real family is..." That night I had dinner with Margaret and my new circle. I looked around at people who chose me, who cared about my stories, not my salary, and I realized losing them wasn't a tragedy. It was a beginning. A messy, painful, but necessary start to something better. So, have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted? What did you do to take your power back? Drop your story in the comments, and if this hit close to home, hit subscribe for more stories like this. Because sometimes, walking away is the start of your glow-up. If this story hit home for you, I want to hear it. Drop your thoughts in the comments, whether you've walked away, set boundaries, or just needed to hear this today. And if you're into real stories that speak the truth most people are afraid to say, make sure to hit that subscribe button and stick around for the next one, because you're not alone and your story matters. Sometimes, the people you love the most will let you down the hardest, but that doesn't mean you have to keep letting them. Walking away from toxic family doesn't make you weak. It means you finally chose yourself. Real love doesn't come with price tags or guilt trips. It's okay to outgrow people who only show up when they need something. You deserve peace, boundaries, and people who love you for you, not for what you give.